Good evening. Welcome to a live session of the Gooner booth. God, this stream could have been a lot different. Looking at that game, it is Arsenal. Well, Athletic Club 0, Arsenal 2. 3 points on the board. First Champions League game out the way. Let's get into it. I think I'll start off. My initial thoughts were we started off really slow, really scrappy game. There was moments in that game where I was a little bit worried. I generally thought that we would struggle tonight. And I did say, I did in my preview. That was one of my concerns was you're going away to a Spanish side. The stadium, I've not really watched them that often, but I didn't realize how big their stadium was and what an atmosphere that was. They was up for it. So yeah, it took us a while to settle. What's your initial thoughts, Wayne? That was my initial thoughts.
Yeah, firstly, good evening, Tone. And if we have got some watchers, good evening, guys. If you catch up later, obviously, good evening, good morning. But it was it's one of them. I did say 2-0. So I got that right at least. So obviously, I didn't say it was easy. I jokingly said to you for a private WhatsApp, 4-0 in the hope that Gyökeres might get a couple and Eze, but that weren't to be. I think it was just the problem is as well is you'll fight, as I said to you, the crowd. What's the names? I apologise, guys. The commentators they were saying, "Oh, the referee's having a good game," but how many times did the Arsenal players get booked? And you think to yourself, well, shouldn't you be booking them? Like people are looking at this going, oh, the ref's got in control of it. But I thought as well, there's a few times I think to myself, well, you're booking Arsenal players because the crowd are getting onto it. I mean, they were, mate, listen, we've got Spanish guys. I love them because you're putting the Arsenal top on. But that team were falling all over the place. So, it's a tough place to go, Tony, is what I'm getting at. I might have to eat a bit of humble pie. But in my defence, in the likes of Martinelli and Trossard, and you'll back me up in previous videos, Will, what did I say? I think they're going to be great impact subs. And what happens tonight? So both of them,
he deserves that. He deserves that.
Fantastic. He deserved that. And I think Martinelli needed that goal. And at the end of the day, as fans and supporters, whatever you want to say, this is where players have to just shove it down your throats. My thing is when he starts, and both with Trossard, at times it doesn't always work. I think we've upgraded, but what's not to say that these guys can't not do it, and they prove that that's what they are. They're great impact players, and we need that, Tone. And I'm not going to be. I know we might have a bit of a disagreement, and we might have it on our private chat, and our group chat as well. Don't be sort of like adverse to having these guys start, because if it doesn't work, you're still going to, as I said to you, you're still going to have Eze, still going to have Madueke to come on. So yeah, mate. I mean, it did frustrate us when Gyökeres come off, and we understand that. Problem is he hasn't got a Havertz, and he's at the moment he's got to try and to keep Gyökeres as fit as he can, Tone. And I think as well, if Havertz was fully fit, I think that's a game Havertz starts. That's my opinion, but you've seen why he played. Like, you know what, Marino, why he played, because Marino, Gyökeres can't win, doesn't go up for aerial duels, and Marino goes up and he challenges, and I think that's why, in my opinion, and it would have been sparked a good debate. But I think if Havertz was fully fit, he might have gone for him tonight, just in terms of calming the game down, because you needed it to hold up. It wasn't getting held up at the top, and Gyökeres is your bang. Give me a chance, score striker. Havertz is your hold up, do the dirty work, and that. So I think he had to play a different way. So it's never going to be easy, Tone. Would you agree with that, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like it when he took Gyökeres off. And
I didn't either, mate. Honestly, I didn't.
What a fucking twat. I mean, we're 0-0. I'd the ump, right? We weren't that great throughout the game, and it was frustrating to watch. You take our striker off. We're trying to get a goal. You take our striker off, and then put Marino up front. I mean, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure about that. I mean, I was actually shouting for Martinelli to be stuck up front,
Yeah.
but in the end, he come on, got the goal. Um, I think Martinelli. So I know we just spoke about Martinelli, and I think he deserves a lot of praise tonight because he done everything that you'd want from a footballer, just being
Mm.
dropped. He's got
Yeah.
no confidence. He's seen Eze come in, go straight on the left wing in his place. Eze was okay tonight, but he weren't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he was great.
Yeah.
Martinez come on. It was a difficult goal as well. He had to control that, get that back into his path,
Yeah.
and then the finish. You can't knock it. He's come on. He's done he's done everything you want him to do. He's asked Arteta the question. He's gone like, "You dropped me for Eze." Now against City, he's going to something to think about. And then if he does get dropped if he don't play on Sunday, when he comes on, do the same thing again. Create your worth. Ask the question. And the one thing that I noticed tonight, and we have not had it in years, the depth.
Mm. Yeah.
We've literally got players on the bench that come on and change the game. And if that's how our season's going to go, it's exciting to think, right, if it ain't working, we can take players off, bring players on. And the good thing about it, the players that are coming on don't want to be on the bench; they want to start. So you want that from them. You want to see Trossard, Martinelli. They want their place back in the team. So of course they're gonna come on. And Martinelli he can't do any more than that. He's scored and assisted.
Yeah.
And Trossard got his goal. So I'm really pleased for him because as well as he's frustrated us for the past 2 years, I think we've all got a soft spot for Martinelli because we know how good he is or how good he can be. So I'm happy for him tonight, and he won the game for us.
Yeah, exactly, Tony. No, he did. I mean, as I said to you, it's not, you can sort of beat yourself around the bush. There's a lot of people on my Twitter as well saying, "Oh, eat humble pie, Martinelli haters." Not one point would I have said I'm not a hater. There's a lot of people out there that go online and tweet about it. Martinelli frustrates the living crap out of me, Tone, because I've seen what that player can play at that level, And as much as I have said, and I will stay by that, is obviously that was his peak. But the fact of the matter is, if we had 22, 23 Martinelli, we would be Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Like, you still need that competition, Tone. You still need your. We needed Eze. As I've said, I've followed Eze for a while. We need this kind of depth, And someone put on there, and I can't quote them, but I will obviously. It's on Twitter. Some random come up on my thing, and he made a very good point and said, this time last year, if that was, say, Sterling on the bench, you would have brought Butler Holiday on. Do you know what I mean? Because of the depth. The depth now is you can take an Eze off and put a Martinelli on. You can take a Madueke off and put a Trossard on. In my opinion, obviously Moreno goes up top when he takes Gyökeres off. That's the one thing, Tone. And I think a lot of people, Havertz does divide a lot of opinion. But I would say to you right now, this would have been a game. And I know I just said earlier, but if I'm kind of thinking a bit more logically, I think Gyökeres would have started with Havertz. That's what I would have thought today. Because what he does, sorry, Tone, and I'll give it shortly back. I'll give it back to you, mate. But what I'm saying
is, Mr. Waffle tonight,
Mr. Waffle. But Havertz would allow you to win them balls and flick it on, and that would have been that ideal game for him. Yeah. So I think maybe it would have made sense that he would have done Havertz, and I think you'll see that, Tone. I think you'll see that throughout the season, matey. But yeah, because obviously you said one year. I agree as well. I still think you need to trust the boy. But I said to you pre-match, didn't I? What did I say?
He didn't get a look in tonight.
No, exactly. Didn't come on, mate.
And we didn't have any fluid to our game. Like we was in the first half, it was so scrappy. We couldn't string a pass together. Yeah. Fair play to them. They come out the blocks. They didn't give us any breathing space. I think in them sort of games, Awanieri gives you that bit of breathing space because he's good at breaking the line. He's that sort of attacking midfielder that will go the other way. I think Marino, this is where I don't like him in that cam role. But then he's always gonna, as you said, he was always gonna find a spot for him in that team because of his his international duty plaudits where he got a hat trick, and it was always gonna find a spot for him tonight. which I didn't agree with. I think you're playing against a team, and I knew they'd come out the blocks. They didn't sit back, Bilbao. They didn't sit back.
No, not at all.
It's a perfect opportunity to get in that game, because when Madueke had he had so much time out on that wing, and even Eze, you just needed someone supporting them, and there was no one. Marino was never going to be that player tonight. No. And I must admit, the one thing I did notice tonight, which I was extremely happy about, is the inverted bloody wing back didn't go into midfield. Did you notice that? Calafiori hardly went into midfield. We had some wing play, and we was actually at spells we was really dangerous. So I think, I'm gutted that Wanyeri didn't get a look in tonight, because I think it would have been a good game to give him some minutes. I would have started him. I would have taken him off, then put Marino on, because I reckon we would have had a better first half, because we were shit in the first half. We were shocking. And we were lucky we weren't 1-2-0 down. A better side would have been 2-0 up in that first half.
Of course they would have done. I agree with you, matey. And I think as well, that's one of the things I find it tough with and what I keep saying with Miles Lewis-Skelly going sort of like into midfield and having games there, because obviously you see that he wanted to shut it up a bit. He put Norgard on, and then Cappier made his debut. Obviously, it weren't long enough to see, but he's quite a rapid player, Tom. So
honestly, I can say a bad thing about this player. You love him.
Mate, you've not seen him. You've not. Look at Mosquera today, by the way. Tonight, Mosquera was fantastic. You did not miss Saliba in that game whatsoever.
Yeah,
I think what it is, Tone. I think Hincapié. Why I keep mentioning is I think he will surprise a lot of people, and I've seen and heard a lot of good things about him, Tone. So. My point being is Miles Lewis-Skelly couldn't even get a look in either, could he? And the same with Wanyeri. And that's tough for the boys, because these are our Haaland, you want to see them in the team, or at least get some time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, if that Nketiah has a bad game, I'm going to blame you, mate, because you're singing his praises if I haven't kicked the ball yet.
No, but honestly, it's just because what he looks like, Tony. Because...
Would you fancy him or something?
Maybe I'm coming out on live. No, it's just, if you honestly to God, like I've said on previous videos, he just looks a promising player, and he just looks like a Ben White on the left hand side. And someone described it. As Timber's the same. You look at Timber and you think he's not. They step over that line and they become nasty bastards.
Yeah.
And I think you will love him because of how he's gonna. I think because how nasty. I think you will.
He looks like a fucker. He looks like a fucker. He looks like like an horrible bastard. He's got one of them faces when he comes on. He looks like an hooligan. So
it's not an obsession. It's just I'd love to see this geezer play for 90 minutes, and I think you'll love him as well. You and obviously on our private chat as well. Both of you boys will be saying the same thing. So that's why I mentioned.
All right. Cool. Some information on the game. So possession, we had 61% to their 38%. Shot attempts are quite interesting. 11 on both sides. So it tells you it was an end-to-end game. Shots on target, we had 6 to their 2. So we had a better ratio of shots on target. 2 corners apiece. Yellow cards, they had 1, we had 3, which I thought they got away with fucking murder tonight. They were winding you up rotten.
100%. 100%.
Why do foreign footballers do this? Why do they roll around like they've broken their legs and they get up when they realise the refs ignore them? They get up and then all of a sudden they've actually made a recovery and they've.
Sorry, Tone, as well to interject there, but did you see where that guy tried to get Declan Rice sent off at the end of the first half?
Yeah, that. So I mean, this is where if you've got VAR, why aren't VAR stepping in there and why aren't he booked for that shit? Because that's. Look, Joe, what I must admit, when I first see it in real time, I thought that Declan Rice fouled him because straight away I was like, "Oh crap, calm down," because
here we go. Yeah, we don't need
to get yourself sent off, which could have been a completely different game. But yeah, another interesting stat I've noticed. So early touches in the box in the first 20 minutes, we had none. They had 10.
Yeah.
It goes to show how slow we started, and we need to get away from this because we're going to get caught out massively if we don't start early. It took half time for Arteta to do whatever he needs to do at half time than to come out and have a rocket shoved up their ass. Because what was we doing in the first half?
I agree, mate.
Against a better team, we're going to lose. We're gonna, if we do that against City on Sunday, because don't forget, we smashed them 5-1 at the Emirates. We'll get into this on towards the match preview, right? But they smashed us we smashed them last year 5-1. They're not turning up to. They're turning up to. They're gonna want a game, right? So we can't come out the blocks that slow. I know it's Champions League. It was away. It wasn't an easy ground to go to tonight, and I said Bilbao will be well up for it. It's their first Champions League game against Arsenal, which is a mad stat. I'm going to say that again. And they're at home. They're gonna want to come out and beat us, right? We just didn't match that, and I think they was aggressive. I must admit, Timber held his own, and Gabriel. They showed that in them games they've got a bit of fight. In the past, we probably would have folded. So that's one thing I would say. That's a massive bonus for us. Is we've got a strong team.
A massive upgrade, Tom, but what we used to.
But my worry was in the preview yesterday was that Arteta would turn up, stink the place out with his tactics, and he did. I'm sorry to say he did. He had no intention of attacking in that first half. It was only when he realised actually they're not sitting back. They're going to come at us. He had to change something. Why start games like that? And it goes back to, and I'm probably going to write on the bloody wall behind me what Gal Clichy said. He's obsessed with not losing, not obsessed with winning. Yeah, that mentality. If that's that, he is defensive. You got to admit that. But I think it could have been a lot worse tonight. That first half, we was all sitting there at half time going, do you know what? We ain't playing that well. No. And how many times are you going to get away with it? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. We're gonna, it's football, right? We're going to sit on a stream and have the raven up because someone done a smash and grab against us because we haven't taken the risks and used the players that we've got. We've got quality attacking players now. Use them. Like he took Gyökeres off in 60 minutes. Why are you taking your strikers off after an hour? Why? You're chasing the game. But he had no service again. He was chasing down scrappy balls. I think the only action he got was getting headbutted by Gabriel, which I don't think he appreciated having his head cut open. But that was the only action that he got. There was a moment where he was through on goal, and he's the first touch wasn't great. It was too far in front of him, but you could see that he was interested and wanted it. But I don't think he gets enough time or enough service. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So okay, well, 3 points. On to the next one. Should we go through player ratings?
Yeah, go with time. Yeah.
All right, start off with Raya. I mean, I don't think he had much to do. There was a few moments. I must admit with Raya, right? I think that in games where we're getting closed down, there's a high press. I must admit, he has made some clumsy mistakes at times, but 90% of the time, he's very composed and calm. In them situations, so I've got to give him some credit. I'm going to give him an 8 tonight purely because he helped with that press. He was playing some decent. There was a moment where the ball went over the top, and he played a nice little dink pass to Timber, just calmed it down very quickly. So I'm going to give him an 8. He didn't have a lot to do, but then clean sheet. What more can you ask for from a goalkeeper?
No, exactly, mate. 43rd clean sheet as well in Arsenal colours. I mean, we had a long debate and a lot of Arsenal fans about Ramsdale, and I think I saw something in him straight away when he came on. He just had a different kind of calmness to him, and I love Ramsdale. You boys will testify that, you and our friend in the chat will. Not to go too on and waffle on with that, mate. I fully agree with it. Some of the stuff he's sweeping is just fantastic. When he does it, he was solid, and that's a solid 8. Fully agree with that, mate. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. We'll go from left back, Calafiori.
Again, I love this guy, and I think I've been a little bit too harsh and I think we both have in terms of ratings. I think an 8. I just think he's. I think he's. as you said as well, you said about him not going in. He just opens the pitch up. He's not a left back. He's not a central midfielder. That guy could play a number 10 role and still be comfortable. There's moments he come in and linked it and kind of helped, to get us out of it. And I think he's brilliant, mate. I might be going on about Hincapié. I have not forgotten about Calafiori. I love the guy. I think he's brilliant.
I'm going to disagree with that score. I'm going to go with a 7 or even 6.5. And I'll tell you my reasoning. There was moments in the game where Gabriel had the ball and he ran away. There was a moment where Gabriel was twice counted. There was a moment, twice in the game. Gabriel had the ball. He was under a lot of pressure, and he just wanted to play it out to the left. And Calafiori fucked off, God knows where, and he was gone. And there was a few moments where Gabriel he put his hands to him, going, "What the fuck are you doing?" He was pissing off down the wing. Yeah. So for that, I think 6.5, purely because in a game where he was under a lot of pressure and needed a bit of composure, he had a moment of madness where he was nowhere to be seen. I don't know if you spotted that.
I think a 7 then, Tone, if we meet a little bit. I think 6.5's a bit. I just think the fact is you should be giving him a minimum of 7 because the guy's just strung together 5 games in a row without getting injured. So let's celebrate that. So I mean, I'd say 6.5, 7 then. If I just think he's that's why MLS ain't playing is because of his form, and I think he's fantastic. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. There's 2 things. The problem is obviously you're trying to keep the width, or he's trying to go inside. You have to realise he's doing what he's kind of told, and he vacates it. How we sometimes set up is we set up with 3. So you'll have Gabriel who shifts over to the left. Mosquera becomes the central centre back, normally Saliba, and Timber becomes the right centre back. And that left back role means that he's going to be vacating. And I get it sometimes. That's when Gabriel's got to speak to the manager as well, or speak to himself and say, sometimes that left back needs to come back on it. As a centre half, left centre half, he's going to need him. I get you. I get that. I get what you're saying there, Tone. I think 7. I think it's harsh to do 6.5.
All right, let's agree on a 7. I think you're giving him half a mark for not getting injured. That's nuts.
No, it's not that. It's not that. I think you're being overly harsh on him because he's been good. I see Gabriel's frustration. From left back. That's what it is. I
hate him because it's so easy to read. But I just think I watched him on a few occasions where Gabriel was getting the raving up with him, and actually watched the replay where Gabriel, lucky enough, dealt with it. He's fucked off down the wing. Yeah, like, what are you doing, mate? He's up there with Eze. I don't know what he was doing.
I think what it is, I think in terms of that, I know what you're saying, but I think in terms of match, when you're looking at it, I think that back line has kept a clean sheet. Whether there was moments where you could even argue there's moments where there's hesitation from Gabriel and it got through and it just, right at the death sort of thing. Players make certain things, Tone. I think that back line, in terms of going away to a hostile environment like that and coming away with a clean sheet, I think you got to at least go, even if you're worst player, and I don't think he was that bad, but I get you. You got a moment about something. So.
Yeah, let's agree on a 7. Let's move on to Big Gabs.
I think he was absolutely terrible. I'm going to give him a 4. There you go. Yeah. So, no, I'll go with 8. Captain performance. He's solid, mate. Absolutely solid. And you go to an environment like that, and you need your players to, he puts in the blocks. He does a lot. He's come back. He's been fantastic. He signed a new deal. The lad loves Arsenal. So, and he bleeds for the club, and he showed that again. He's just brilliant, mate. Personally, so 8.
8, yeah, brilliant. I think Mosquera.
I think the same.
An 8, yeah, I'd agree with that. There was moments where
fantastic defending that boy.
He was calm, casual. So, although we'll get into this later on in the week, but I do think that Saliba comes straight back into the squad for the City game.
You have to. It's harsh on the boy. But what I would say,
it's going to happen. I'm afraid.
Sorry to talk over your Tone. I just want a thought what comes in. I think you can also look at it that Saliba comes in, and you put Timber at right back, which will more likely be the case. You could go at 60, 70 minutes against City, put Mosquera on for Timber, and you wouldn't see a difference in performance, and give Timber a bit of a rest. But yeah, the boys, you have to, because Saliba needs to play, but the boys just, It's like you remember when we went from one last thing, we went from Campbell to Senderos, and you knew the difference. You know what I mean? Didn't you? This guy, you don't know that. You don't know that there's a difference between Saliba and Mosquera, and he's been fantastic so far.
Well, that's what we've wanted for ages. We wanted a backup defender. I mean, there was I think I was listening to Talk Sport earlier, and there was a comparison of who do you think is better, Kivior or Mosquera? Now, I think it's too early to say, right? Because Kivior did do a job for us. But from what I've seen so far from Mosquera, he's not doing himself an injustice in the 2 games he's come in. Liverpool away, and obviously Forest the weekend and tonight. 3 games he's come in. But no, I think that he hasn't done himself any harm, and I think Arteta's got a bit of a headache because I mean, personally, you want the experience from Saliba. He's experienced these big games, but I don't doubt that Mosquera would make a good count for himself if he did play. So it's a good problem to have, isn't it?
Of course it is. So mate. You never had that problem before.
Exactly. Cool. Timber, what are you giving Timber?
So he's an absolute.
Yeah, I'll back for other than Calafiori.
No, let's move on, time.
I mean, I've played at left back. I mean, at amateur level, right? And I've done it before. Where I've drifted down the wing. And they've got no one. It can be. That's why I looked at that and gone. I know. I've had someone bloody threatened to punch me for doing that a few times.
Yeah.
But you could see that you wouldn't mess with big Gabs, would you? Jesus, but Calafiori's a big guy, but Jesus Christ, you weren't happy with him.
As you said, he was screaming. He was screaming at him. I mean,
he wasn't happy with him. But then you want your captain to do that. You want your captain to make sure that people are aware they've got a job to do. So
do the job first. Yeah. I think Timber. Going back to Timber Tone, fantastic, mate. 8 out of 10. He's pivotal. My worry, I constantly worry with. We need Benny White back. I mean, I think obviously you can get Mosquera to cover when Saliba's back time, but Benny White for Timbers as well. To challenge him. Like we'll move on to what Martinelli's done in terms of Eze and what challenging. You want that in Benny White. So say even if you take Timber off, Timber's played for 60, 70 minutes. You bring Benny White on, he has an absolute stormer for 20 minutes and goes, hang a bit, Mikel, but it's just keeping him fit. He was solid again. My worry is just his fitness tone in terms of keeping, because Timber's vitally important if we want to win anything, in my opinion, as well. Vitally important.
That's fair. Midfield, Zubimendi.
Oh, by the looks of it, I know it could. I don't want to be overly harsh. I was going to think maybe a 6.5 to a 7 tone.
I agree. I was going to go 7. I think there was a moment in the game where.
Yeah,
he looked a bit lost. The game sort of passed him by at times.
He does. I think his fitness as well, Tone. I think Norgard, again, like I just said with Benny White, and I mean that Benny White should obviously challenge Timber as well. I think Norgard's vitally important to keep Zubimendi at the top of his game. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And, obviously get Norgard back fit. Zubimendi at times, like I have stated, and there was times when the player come through and he chased him, he just couldn't get near him. And he luckily put it wide for that chance, I think, the end of the first half. As I said to you, Zubimendi running back is not his strength. He has to see the play forward. You know what I mean? He has to be face. You want him to chase and do whatever. He's not going to catch a player. So I think there's moments, but he still ticks it along, in my opinion. I think we can stick that with a solid 7. I think it'd be harsh any lower, but I think how the boy plays warrants a 7.
Yeah.
Especially when he faces the play, you can see what he's all about.
Yeah, Deckers. What are we giving Deckers?
I would say he would have an 8 if he didn't get a silly yellow card and chuck that boot over. So I'd say 7.5.
Yeah, I agree there.
I thought he improved in the second half, Tone. The whole first half, let's be honest, you're more likely saying our back line, Gabs and Mosquera and Timber are solid. The rest of them, what's going on? Rice included in that. But I think he stepped up second half, realised the magnitude of what these players were doing. Because you could see that player, the look in his eyes when he's gone over, he was looking at the ref to say, where's his second yellow? And I'm thinking, here we go. And it takes a different player to lose them. There's been Arsenal players that would have got sent off second half or even would have got sent off first half because they were silly. This geezer's a lot, Declan Rice is built with different gravy tone. So I think just he loses half a mark because I thought it was a silly thing. As much as the player made a meal of it, he still put his foot there. And I think that, for me, loses it there. But I think he upped his game and in the second half, definitely.
Do you think it would be fair to say that Declan Rice hasn't got going yet this season?
You know what, Tony? I just think that's a good sign. And what I'm saying to you is right now, we want Declan Rice to be flying by March, April. So if he's having these bad games, remember Patrick Vieira, you might look back at the start of seasons, he got sent off away to Sunderland at times and you're like, here we go. And we still went on to win stuff. Patrick Vieira is one of the best midfielders we've ever seen at the club. Obviously, Declan Rice and Vieira are different kind of players. Obviously, an invincible, a double winning captain, you're comparing Rice to him. But I think Declan Rice, let's let him get into form later in the season, He's another one as well, Turn, as I said, needs to be rotated and kept fresh as well as Subamendi, definitely.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, cool. On the left-hand side, Eze?
I love Eze. I think you got to look again at a 6.5, 7, maybe a 6.5.
I'll go with flat 7. I don't
think I don't be overly harsh because I think it's his first Champions League game. You've got to realise as well, and I think it will come into with Madueke. I thought the nerves kind of got to him a little bit in terms of it being their first one. When they settle in under the lights at the Emirates, you'll see a much better Eze. And I love the guy. I just thought obviously he did struggle to make an impact, and there was times when he just wasn't quite there. And as you say as well, Tone, as much as he's a higher level they're playing at, that chance where the defender snuck in, took the ball off his foot in the box. You're thinking if he's alive and alert, that's 1-0. But I think you got to be there anyway. So I think overly harsh to any line in the 7. So I agree. I think seven's high enough. There's a lot more to come from Eze. We've seen it. I just think this was one of those nights where it just weren't going to happen.
Madueke?
7.5. I think the boy. If the boy had that end product, you'd be putting 8, 8.5. He just takes players on. He's confident. And I want that to be. This is not a slight on him because I thought personally, I thought he played well.
I did. I thought he was. He was one of our best attackers tonight.
Yeah, it's the repetitive act that people don't understand and realise. It's a repetitive action with Madueke. Yeah, he gets the ball. You remember we used to say, we'd be like with Pepe. We spent 72 million on this geezer, and he just wouldn't take players on. This guy is going, I'm going to take you on. I'm going to take you on. Give me the ball. If I'm not going to get past you, how many times he beat the fullback? And it's just that end product that turns that into an 8.5 to 9. But I just think he kept going and going and going. So between the 7.5 and 8, because I thought he was again fantastic. It's just having that end product. But mate, we're not even missing Saka, and that's saying something. How he's playing. So I'm really impressed with him, Tone. Really am. Just for me, it is that end product. I think if that guy gets, as I said in the previous video, if he gets that end product, it's dangerous, and it's dangerous not for us. He will explode. He's ready to. He's looking like a player who's ready to explode. Tone. We'll be there to see it. I think personally.
Marino.
I think a solid 7. He come on that pitch to do it, and I know it upset you. And I did say to you, I think that's what he's going to go.
I just don't think he plays that well.
No, I agree with what we said, everything on a private chat. I agree with that. I just think he sees a vision, and he's like, I'm going to get, he'll nick a goal, he'll win a header. There's a time when Gyökeres was behind him, and he flicked the ball over to Madueke, and I thought that's all he's put him on for, to relieve the pressure. And I think that's all it is. And I think, as I say, mate, don't be surprised if you see him set up with a Havertz, Gyökeres kind of thing. It could even be even negative to have a Havertz and a Marino. Do you know what I mean? Up there, to have two players who would challenge and like he says, win duels. Loves to duel. So that's it. Yeah, but it's a terrible one. But I think a 7, mate. I think be harsh anymore. You got to realise he's in that team for what Mikel wants him to do, Tone. So.
Cool. And then Gyökeres?
Again, I'd say I'm not going to be overly harsh with him personally. I'm not going to say it's new signing thing. You see that run, he wasn't quite in charge of it, but he made an effort. You know, if he could put that ball in, there's crossing and he's headed it in and it's gone wide. I think that it's a 7, and I'm not going to be harsh on him. I think because as a striker and a striker like him, he needs the opportunities, Tone. And as you said earlier in the video, you know, you haven't fed him. And the saying is going around the Twitter world and whatever is feed the yock and he'll score. He didn't get that. The opportunity weren't there, so he's feeding on scraps again. You know, he got up, he got his own player that nutted him in the back of the head. Still carried on going, still wanted to score a goal. You know, I'm impressed. I think he's improving definitely. He's just got, for me, sometimes, as I said as well, he's always going to frustrate the living crap out of a lot of us. But we have to let that slide. You know, because sometimes when he gets the ball, like he done it at Nottingham Forest, powerful run into the box. Nonny had the ball when he ran outside of Nonny, didn't he? And whacked it against the like the post, almost top of the crossbar. He can do that, Tone. He's got that. That was one of them games where it's tough, and that's why I think Moreno started. But I think it'd be harsh to give him 6.5, in my opinion, because I think he was after that. Personally, that's what I think. I think give him a chance, he'll score, and he didn't get that. You know, so
yeah, no, that's fair. On to the subs. Martin. No, let's go with Hincapié. Your friend.
I don't think. You know what? Just say I think you weren't on long enough. I think obviously for what I'll do as well, Tone, because he put Norgard and Hincapié on to close the game out. I'd say just leave them at an average 6.5. They didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, agree on that one.
They were later on. Yeah.
Trossard. What are you giving Trossard?
Sorry, man, I've got to give him an 8.
Yeah, I was going to go with 8s in my head.
I have to.
Yeah.
Listen.
Goal assist.
Exactly.
That flick. Can we just actually take a moment to appreciate the flick for Martinelli's goal? That is unreal vision. That was Ozil-esque back in the day, where he just knew where he was. The little flick over the top, perfect weight on it. Do you know what? You probably hate people saying this, but he's best off the bench.
Yeah, Tone. The thing is with it is this is what I was saying, and my dad, who's obviously a neutral, but he said he's one of them neutrals that loves Trossard. He's like, I don't understand why you kind of sort of like in videos and when I'm talking saying, why don't you rate Trossard? I just think in an isolation of a 20 minute, 30 minute cameo, this guy is dangerous. He reminds me of like a Freddie Ljungberg. You know, pick these things out. He is one of the best finishers at the club, and I think you have to utilise him. Someone as well made it right, and he when he's not playing, he's kind of angry. An angry Trossard is a good Trossard. He's a good player. You know, I think he's got to realise he's got a role to play, and both the same. I think it goes to Martinelli, but yeah, I was fairly impressed with him. And again, the defender did take a nick off the defender, but that's what he does. You get Trossard in the box, he can do that. And look what he's done, Tone. 2 cameo appearances off the bench. Is that 2 assists and a goal now?
Yeah, not bad.
I think he deserves that 8. And you know what? Make me especially, and both same to Martinelli. Make me humble pie, but I still think, and I'll still maintain that them two can be some of the best impact subs in the league. In for what we need, they'll be two of the best impact sub you could ask for.
Yeah, Martinelli. What are we giving Martinelli to close things off? 8?
The same again, because I think, you know, what it is, obviously it's in isolation, but you've got 2 players who have sat on that bench, and you got to realise as well, when I've done a waffle on, so this goes over and over, Tone. I do apologise, guys, but I just want to make the point that, you know, you imagine how you felt on the bench, and you thought, just, you know, we've got 2 shiny new toys who are playing in their place effectively. Yeah, you know, and they've come off the bench, and composure, bang. That goal when he took it on, that's all you want from him, Tone. He acted like a winger, took the bloke on, nipped in, put it into the box to Trossard. He took his time, put the shot, bang. I don't think you can give both of them. I think that's man and match. They're match-winning players So either one of them should be a man of the match, in my opinion, in terms of winning the game, because that looked like a 0-0 all over it until they came on.
Yeah. I think Arteta. What are you rating Arteta today?
You have to give him. You have to bump out 7.5 for the subs. You can start a low rating for saying about Moreno, but I think that as whatever you want to say about him, them 2 subs were vitally important for that win time. So do you agree with that, mate?
Yeah, I'll say 7, but I was gonna say 6, but then 7. I'll make you right with the subs, but
I think that bumps it up.
Yeah, his tactics weren't great tonight.
No.
So
No, fair
I think Martinelli and Trossard got him out of trouble. I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, enough.
For him time.
Yeah, I think what we're giving the ref.
As I say, matey, and I'll cut it as briefly as I can. Those commentators were saying he was having a good game. I thought he was having a good game for Bilbao, and I thought a few of them players should have been booked to calm them down. And I think he's put one, but there's a few players who are thinking he's got to be booked, ref. You booked, you know.
I'll give him a 5. I think just because he let the game slow at times, and I'll give him credit for that because
credit where it's due, Tone. I just thought the crowd, he was influenced by the crowd, Tone.
Yeah, and I think the European refs are very stop-start sometimes.
Yeah.
So he let the game flow. So I'll give him that. And they were diving around. And I think he caught onto that in the end. But yeah. Other than that, it was a good evening. It started off pretty shit. I mean, look. One thing I will say, one thing I didn't spot it yesterday, so apologies, guys. I don't think neither did you, Wayne. 5:45 kickoff. What the fuck is that all about?
I know.
What UEFA? I was reading up on it. And I was like, why is it so early? Because it threw me off because naturally, you plan away to Spain. There's only an hour's difference or 2 hours max, depending on where you are in Spain. 7:45 kickoff. Well, that's Champions League evening.
Exactly.
When I noticed today, I was like, oh crap, it's 5:45 kickoff.
Yeah.
And when I read up on it, it's so UEFA can put more games on television, so they can fit more games, and they're spreading it out over a 3-day period. Apparently, everything's about money, isn't it? It just want to. But how many Arsenal supporters tonight probably missed tonight's game? They probably missed it, or missed the first half, or missed a good 60 minutes of the game.
Could I interject as well, Tone, and say to you, how many say you as well? You're working today, right?
Yeah.
And you've got a ticket to the Emirates. I mean, obviously you'd have to change it, but you imagine you've got a ticket there, and you've got to try to tell 5:45, and you've got to get to the Emirates for a kickoff. I mean, if they're going to do it across the board, I'm pretty sure they will. A lot of gooners, a lot of season tickets, or guys that don't go a lot and they've got a Champions League ticket are going to you're going to have to book your day off, or pull a sickie, which I'm not recommending. I'm not telling people to do, but you know what I mean. Oh, people finish at 5:30, Tone, and then UEFA are telling them to get to the stadium for 5:45. It's going to be a nightmare if we have a game like that. I tell you, it's going to be bedlam outside that stadium.
They need to sort that out because just fucking spread it out.
Shocking kickoff time, Tone. Honestly, on a weekday as well, Tone. Like, come on, weekdays 7:30. Make it 7:30 for guys like me who've got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and work. It'd be a little bit earlier than an 8 o'clock kickoff, because remember they changed it to 8 o'clock as well. Like I used to hate Europa League because it'll be on till 10:10, and I'm like, I've got to get up in maybe 6 hours, 7 hours, especially I was doing an earlier shift, and I'm 7:45. Whether 15 minutes is going to help, but you get what I'm saying. It's all right. You can look at it in a positive that it's not a late one, but there's people that. You want to watch your football team, and that's a ridiculous time. Really is.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll leave it there.
We've had our rant. We'll leave it there.
UEFA bastards. Please like and subscribe. Guys, like and subscribe. We really appreciate it so far. We've been going nearly 3 weeks now. I've got a couple of subscribers on the board. We'd obviously love more, so please continue supporting us. It's much appreciated. And we'll be back for an Arsenal Everyday Arsenal podcast. He was style tomorrow to go through some of the news. We'll discuss the fixtures. We've still got loads of stuff coming away. Man City on Sunday, a lot to discuss there. And yeah, you'll be hearing it here on the Gooner Booth. That's it from us. Have a lovely evening and up the Gooners.
Have a good one, guys. Hit that like and subscribe for us. Thank you.
Take care.